welcome to the one and only Tim Tszyu.
G'day guys, how are we doing? Welcome to Talking Boxing. It is Monday, March the 30th, 2026, and as always, great to have you all along. I can see there's a fair few of you in the chat at the moment. There's a lot of comments in there, and I'll do my best to get through them all. I can see who I can see in there. We've got who we got there? Drew, we've got Tony, we've got Eminem, we've got Big J. As I say, Drew, we've got Shadow Boxer, we've got Naz, Asbot. Just to name a few. I think I've got a few there. But as always, guys, just a heads up. The comments are all over the place. I'm just going to read off my phone here because it seems to be in proper order until we get through the first few comments. So, great to have you along. Big weekend of boxing, of course. Sebastian Fondora with the win over Keith Thurman. We had Cooper O'Connell making his American professional debut. We had Moses Itauma with a big win over Jermaine Franklin as well. So plenty going on. So if you haven't been on the show before or watched the show, the chat is there. As it says there, it's Talking Boxing. So you decide the direction we take. And also thank you to everyone that watches after the fact on... Sorry, not watches, listens to the show after the fact on Spotify. All right, well, let's get into it. We're going to start with, or should I, I'm just trying to think, should I just wing it? Because there's a lot of comments there. I think I'm just going to wing it, guys. So apologies if these are all out of order. I'll do the best I can. All right, we're going to start with explicit double G. I don't know what that means. I don't know why your comments like that either, by the way. I'm going to move you down there. Is Thurman Hall of Fame worthy? I don't think at all they're explicit. I think he did bring up the conversation before the fight. I would think with wins over Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, and maybe Brock Jarvis, maybe that's enough to get you in the Hall of Fame. But no, I wouldn't have thought so. I mean, he failed dismally against Manny Pacquiao. He's failed dismally against Sebastian Fondora, albeit at a higher weight and advanced age. But no, look, I know there are probably a lot of Hall of Famers out there that you could probably ask the same question. But yeah, I think he'd be on the edge explicit. But if I had to make a call, I would say no. I wouldn't put him in there. But having said that as well, we've got guys like Vinny Pazienza in there, one of probably my favourite fighter, who he did win the IBF lightweight title. But apart from that, was in a lot of big fights, but didn't win a lot of big fights. So look, it depends on your criteria, I suppose. But I'm going to say no if I had to make a call. Still with explicit, what did you see? What did you think of seeing Errol hit the pads again? Yeah, he was also out running, wasn't he? So, yeah, look, it's great to see him back in the mix. He's been out a long time, and look, the thing is, you can hit the pads, you can run, you can hit the bags, you can shadow box, you can do all these sorts of things, but really it means nothing until you're actually in the ring and we see what you've got. So it was good to see him back in the ring, in the gym, and on the road. But yeah, he's got a long way to go, I think, before he's going to be ready for July, August, whatever it might be. So, all right, we're going to go down to old mate Big J. Well, once again, I've been proven right, says Big J. Keithy's done himself a mischief. I told you that Fondora, hang on, where is it there? Hang on, I think I'll just expand my screen here because I can't see your comment there. I don't know what's happened there. So what's it say there? So, yeah, proven right. Keithy's done himself a mischief. I told you that Fondora would destroy Thurman, but what did everyone expect? Well, I think there are a lot of people that including myself, thought Fondora will win. Just excuse me as I play with the screen here. I don't know what's happened with the... there we go. I think that might help it there. with the screen. All right. Yeah, well, I did expect Fondora to win, Big J, but I must admit I didn't think it'd be anywhere near as easy as it was. I mean, it was just on the defensive right from the word go, and I said on Walking Boxing this morning that it didn't surprise me the first 2 or 3 rounds where he was just sort of cautious. He's moving mainly to his right, which I don't think was a great idea, moving straight into that left hand and really negating himself. There's not really much you can do as as an orthodox fighter moving to your right. Obviously an orthodox fighter wants to move to his left, and he was just moving straight on the incoming traffic. And Fondora, I don't think he could believe how easy he had it. So really disappointed effort from Keith Thurman, I thought. But I didn't think he'd destroy him, Big J. You obviously did. And we bow down to you, Big J, for picking that. But it was a great performance by Sebastian Fondora. And is he the best 154-pound fighter out there? Well, I suppose it's arguably, he is arguably the best fighter out there. I would still probably put Boots Ennis as number 1 for me, even though he's only just moved up to 154. Virgil Ortiz, I don't know. I mean, he's a very, very good fighter, Ortiz, but I'm just not sure whether he's had those real legacy fights yet that really show us how good he is. Not that Boots Ennis has either, but I mean, he's a super talent. So yeah, not sure. We'll see in good time, I suppose. But I think at this stage you'd be looking at credibility and resumes and all that sort of stuff. I think you would have to say Fondora would be in the number 1 ranking. Whether he's the best fighter or not is another thing, but I think as far as rankings goes, I think he's number 1 at the moment. We have a super chat from Ed Woodson. How are you there, Ed? Thanks for joining in, mate. $10. Much respect and salute to you, brother. Watch you and Neil every day. Just don't comment Itauma nasty uppercut. Thanks very much, Ed. Really great to have you along, mate, and really appreciate the $10 you've thrown in there. So thank you, and Neil appreciates it as well, mate. But yeah, it wasn't a very, very nasty uppercut, wasn't it? He's a good fighter, and that speed, power, he's got size. He's going to be very, very hard to beat, Moses Itauma. And the thing is, I was thinking about it today, he gets likened to Mike Tyson a fair bit, but I think he could even be potentially more formidable than what Tyson was, because Tyson was only a small sort of heavyweight. He was about 220. What's Itauma? About 245, 250, I think he is. Just correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's what he is. But back in the day, if you're over, say, 230, 235, you're sort of deemed as probably being lazy and fat. These days, it's just a stock standard heavyweight, and he's a big guy. And just the way he sits down on his punches and just plants his feet, and just the speed at which those punches come at his opponents. I mean, the power is one thing, but the speed really does make it hard for those guys he's in there with, and he's going to be very, very, very tough to beat, I would think. Ed is Moses Itauma. Back to Big J. Seriously though, anyone who thought a 5'8" blown up, washed up welterweight was going to beat a 6'6" in prime world champion was delusional. Common sense, people. Yeah. Well, you're right, Big J. There were a lot of people that actually thought that he would win. As I said, I wasn't one of them, but I did expect a lot better performance from that. I just thought he was so disappointing, Keith. And then the way he carried on after the fight, I thought it was pretty piss poor. I really did. I thought it was not the way someone like Keith Thurman should be acting, but I think he really let himself down. He didn't really give Fondora any credit whatsoever. I understand he's upset. I did say again this morning that I did think maybe it was stopped a little early, but I think we're all in agreement. It was going one way. He was so outclassed. He was getting hammered. I think he barely landed a decent punch in the whole fight. Sebastian Fondora still in first gear. And he just wasn't punching back. The referee kept saying, Keith, show me something. And all he did was run and cover up. And at the end of it, you see the look of his face. Good decision from the referee, I think. Still another couple from you, Big J. What do you got there, mate? Fondora gets little credit for beating Thurman, considering his age and inactivity. Plus, I don't like how he's focused on Charlo. Sorry, Fondora gets... Okay, so you're saying Fondora shouldn't get much credit for beating Thurman, considering his age and inactivity. Plus, I don't like how he's focused on Charlo. He's just padding up his resume. Besides Tim, who is he actually beaten? Yeah, but as I said, though, Big Joe, I think you are right to some extent there. But, I mean, who are the other sort of guys beaten as well? I mean, Josh Kelly, I suppose, is a great win over Bakram Mirzailiev. You've got Xander Zayos with His couple of okay wins, I suppose, but nothing great. I still think Fondora has the best resume out there. And you're right, beating Thurman probably in hindsight probably wasn't rocket science, but yeah, I don't know. And the Charlo thing I can sort of get. I do. Well, I was just going to say I could probably see how people would think that Charlo doesn't deserve a shot, but then again, he's a lineal champion. Pacquiao was able to get a world title shot. So, I mean, in this day and age, does it really matter how long you've been out the ring and who you've beaten? It doesn't seem to matter. It's all about who's the biggest raw card, I suppose, and who can bring the most to the event. And that's probably Jamal Charlo. Now, does he deserve it? I suppose on one hand, you could say no, out of the ring for 2.5 years. But on the other hand, again, the lineal champion, he was the undisputed champion, Ring Magazine champion, all that sort of stuff. And as Fondora said himself, he's a PBC fighter, which is why I think it'll happen. My biggest probably doubt on the fight is whether Charlo can actually make it to the ring. And if he does, is he just going to be another sort of replica of Keith Thurman, where and maybe not as old as Keith Thurman is, but definitely ring rust will be prevalent. Is he there physically, mentally? All those sorts of questions will come up. So, I won't say he gets little credit. I mean, he still beat Thurman, who's a former world champion, but I'm with you. He probably could have chosen a lot better opponent. So I will go with you on that one, especially with his age and activity. But like it or not, Big J, the Charlo fight looks like it's going to happen, mate. If Charlo can get himself physically and mentally ready, that fight will happen. It's a PBC natural type of fight, isn't it? So I think it's a given going forward, mate. All right, still got another couple from you we'll go through. If Tim KO's old mate, this is Dennis Tszyu in 2, it won't give him the rounds needed for Spence, and if he gets a decision, it'll show he's not at top level anymore, just my opinion. Yeah, it's a tough one, Big J, because he's got everything to lose and nothing to gain, has he? I mean, when I say nothing to gain, I suppose he has some more time to work with Pedro Diaz. It's probably the main thing he's going to get out of it. Obviously, a couple more rounds under the belt. I don't think he really gets a lot out of it as far as timing and all that sort of stuff goes, and ring condition, because, I mean, he's always training. He's fought pretty regularly over the years, so I don't think that'll be a problem. I think it's strictly an opportunity just to work on a few things that he's been doing with Pedro Diaz. But you're right, if he does stop Dennis Tszyu in 2, I don't think you'll get much out of it. And if he goes the distance, well, then maybe he doesn't, or a lot of people say he's not ready for Spence. I don't know. In my opinion, and I respect your opinion there, Big J, but in my opinion, I think that they'll be looking for a statement stoppage in this fight. I think that's the next stage in what they're trying to do. He's had the 10 rounds under his belt against Velasquez just to, I suppose, get back on the winner's podium. This fight, in my opinion, I don't think it'll matter to them if he KOs him in 1 or KOs him in 5 or KOs him in 9 or even 10. I think they'll want a stoppage in this fight just to give Tim that last bit of, I can do this, I'm back sort of thing. If he struggles through 10 rounds with Dennis Tszyu, you have to think in the back of Tim's mind, he would think, geez, this guy is not much chop. And I've just struggled to go 10 rounds with him. Can I beat Spence? So I think what they're going to be pushing for is a statement stoppage or KO, so they can really build the fight up with Spence, give Tim the frame of mind that he needs to go in with someone like Errol Spence Jr., and that's why I think nothing short of a really dominant stoppage or KO will be the pass mark in this fight, Big J. But if he doesn't get it, you're right, it could blow up in his face and not only put doubt in his mind, it might put the doubt in his team's mind and everyone else. So, yeah, it's a fascinating one. I haven't seen too much of Dennis Tszyu apart from what I've seen on YouTube, and I don't think he's much danger of beating Tim, but this is boxing. Anything can happen, and who knows if there's a potential bananas peel there that could trip him up. So we will see. All right, last one for you, Big J. All right. What do you got here? Last one. Do you think Jai still sits in your Mount Rushmore, considering all the mess recently? What if this completely derails his career and he spends the rest of it defending that toy belt against, I'm assuming that's a tomato can there, Big J? Yes. I did I did wear the criticism on me putting Jai on the Mount Rushmore, especially for myself, and I get it. That's fine. I still stand by it at this stage. I think he has done more in his 7, 8 title defenses, whatever he's had, than a lot of other fighters that we would probably maybe would put in front of Jai. But you're right. If he doesn't fight for any more world titles and struggles to get legacy type of opponents, well, maybe I'd have to reconsider. I still think, just as long as he keeps winning, Big J, I still think he's in the box seat to be on Mount Rushmore. I do get your argument about Daniel Gill maybe being the other one, and maybe you might be right. Maybe Jai will fall right off the perch and Daniel Gill will stay up there. But I just think Jai is the real deal. A legitimate world champion, and I think given the chance, he will prove it. But yeah, I still have Jai well and truly on the Mount Rushmore, mate. If anything, I think the Glanton fight really solidified it for me. I just think he's obviously at the world level. He's taken no shortcuts. He's beaten some good fighters. I know there's plenty of others out there that he has to beat first. But as I said before, I think he's done more in his career already than a lot of our greats in history have done. So, for me, he's still up there, mate. And if he derails his career, well, I still think he's done enough to be on there. Just my 2 cents. All right, we're going to go to Tom's dad, Naz. Where are you there, mate? If I can find your comment. Still all over the place there. Where are we? Where is it there, mate? So, stoked. All right, where is it? Let's see if I can find it. I can't understand how it does this, by the way, guys. Just bear with me as I find it. I'm just going to go to the top of the page and work our way down. All right, Explicit says TalkSport talked about Zuffa. I'll put that up on the screen there. Talked about Zuffa and which UK fighter will headline a Sky Sports pay-per-view in the UK with only having 1,000 licensed pro fighters. I don't think Zuffa will headline with UK fighters. Let's read that again there. So TalkSport talked about Zuffa and what UK fighter will headline. Yeah, well, who knows? Explicit. Well, I thought it might have been Chris Eubank Jr. with this whole Zarafa thing here in Australia, but he's still with Boxer, isn't he? And they're obviously still doing shows. It's a good question. Will it be Conor Benn? I mean, he's the only English fighter I suppose they've got at the moment, or is he? I'm assuming they've got others. I haven't really taken much notice of the whole roster, if I'm being honest. I don't know. Explicit. And what to say? I don't think Zuffa will headline with UK fighters. Yeah, well, they'd have to, wouldn't they? I would assume that they'd have to do that. I'm just sorry, guys. I'm just looking at YouTube at the moment, just making sure that we are on public, because I've got a feeling we might be on private or members. No, that's me there. Sorry, guys. It should be more. I did actually. I should be more organised. I did. Where is it there? Hang on. I'm just trying to switch. There we go. Nope, it's not coming. Oh, there we go. I did put it up that was 15 minutes behind, guys. So sorry about that. I'm assuming that's had a bit to do with it as well. Why our numbers aren't quite where they normally are. Just want to make sure that I've got the settings on this correct, that it is actually public. Yes, it is public. Okay, which just means we haven't got many watching. There you go. It is what it is. Hopefully they'll come on board. I can't answer that explicit. I've got no idea who's on the roster there, mate. So I'll move on. Sorry, I've just wasted about 5 minutes of everyone's time. All right, Asbot. Hard to see anyone at 154 or 160 beating Fondora. Zayos has signed a contract for Boots. In my opinion, too early for him. Similar to Vargas and Tito Vargas. Hang on. Similar to Vargas and Tito. Vargas got beat down, was never really the same. Thoughts? Yeah, it's a good comparison there, Asbot. Well, I mean, Vargas did win world titles after that, I'm pretty sure, didn't he? But Tito did do a number on him. I don't know. I don't think so. One, I don't think Boots Ennis is the same fighter as Tito Trinidad, or not yet anyway. He's got a long way to go. Boots isn't really a big puncher or anything like that. I mean, I know he's had some good stoppages and knockouts and that sort of stuff, but not really against elite competition. Yeah, I think he'll be okay. I do think Boots will beat him as bot, but I think Zayos will handle himself okay. I think Boots wins on points. Zayos is still young enough to come back, mate. So I don't think, I can't see Boots laying the same sort of beating on Zayos as Tito did to Vargas, if that makes sense. I think Zayos will live to fight another day and won't be too scarred by it if he does lose to Boots. I think it'll be a tough fight, but I don't think it'll set him back too much. You're right. Vargas probably wasn't ready for Tito, and probably did cop a bit of a hiding in that. But as I said, I don't think Zayos will get the same from Boots. All right, Drew. I must say I was stunned that he used to fight all those fights in years before the Crimson Mask fight. Hang on, I've obviously missed a comment there. It's in the wrong order. Sorry, guys. I'll keep going. Hang on. I'll bring up the comments here. This is very frustrating, I've got to tell you, when this happens. Where are we? All right, so I've got Drew there. All right, the Thurman stoppage. All right, Thurman stoppage may have been a tad early, but the fight was over. Keith saying the fight was just starting to heat up with both men throwing leather was outrageous. Keith was getting backed up. Yeah, as I said, Drew, I don't think at any stage he really bit down on the mouth guard and had a crack. I think I wasn't surprised at the start of the fight when he, as I said, he did move side to side, mainly to the right, and didn't really engage. I thought he's going to try and get his range, sort of lull Fondora into his range, maybe counter him, whatever it might have been. But he just did not engage whatsoever, and it just didn't look like Keith Thurman. And I know he has that effect on people, Fondora, but I was just surprised that Thurman at no stage actually tried to win the fight. Totally defensive, and the way he got busted up and so quickly, it was amazing. So. I'm with you there, though, Drew. Still with Drew, I'm kind of perplexed and hate the trendy new terminology, height bully as much as weight bully. If you have physical advantages and can make the weight, it's all fair game. Yeah, I'm with you, Drew. I got no issues with Fondora whatsoever. And Fondora's not he might be a height bully. Is that what you called him there? He's definitely not a weight bully. Apparently he makes the weight pretty easy. So what's the problem? I don't see an issue with it at all. I mean, and he's a freak of nature, don't get me wrong, but I don't see any problem with him at all with fighting at the weight. He makes the weight no problem, so why not make the most of it? So I just think the people that are happy about it's their fighters or the fans of the fighters are the ones getting towed up are the ones that have the problem. So yeah, no, I haven't got a problem with that. We've got another super chat there. Who we got? It is Andy. How are you there, mate? Welcome to the show. $20. Thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate that. Paul Thurman got mauled. Xander versus Boots. Hopefully Virgil versus Fondora. And Tim versus Spence at 154. Heavyweight. Itauma showing good promise. Subscribe, share, smash that like button, please, folks. And thanks very much, Andy. I really appreciate it, mate. As I said there, we've got Xander versus Boots. Hopefully Virgil versus Fondora. That's a fight that, I suppose it has been sort of talked about, hasn't it? But will it actually happen? Ortiz is the WBC interim champion, so you would think that he would be mandatory. But I would think, it's a fascinating one because if Fondora does go for Charlo, and you would think the WBC with this champion and recess sort of thing they have and the legacy ranking or whatever hell they go on with these days, that they would sanction Fondora versus Charlo and allow him to fight Charlo ahead of Ortiz. You've got Xander and Boots. Now, if Ortiz is available, is he maybe a possibility to fight maybe someone like Josh Kelly? Don't know, but he's sort of in a little bit of purgatory at the moment, isn't he, Virgil Ortiz, with what's going on with Golden Boy? So, yeah, it's a fascinating one. But geez, imagine if we did get Xander and Boots. Well, it looks like it's signed for June 27th. If we do get Virgil versus, Charlo versus Fondora. We've got Tim versus Spence, and we had Virgil versus Josh Kelly. I mean, how good would that be? Maybe even Virgil could defend the WBC interim belt against Bakram Murtazaliev. Now that means we're talking. That would be unbelievable. Because Josh Kelly, I've got full respect for him, but he might be, even though he's got the belt, might just be the odd man out. We'll see. All right, where are we? All right, Drew says Zhang might be the next perfect progression fight for Itauma. Zhang has solid skills to keep Itauma honest for probably 4 rounds, but has questionable stamina and can be hit. Solid step-up fight. Yeah, well, I think Itauma did say he'd like to fight. Who was it? Was it Caballero? But Hrgovic. He's obviously got a fight lined up next as well, so that's out of the question. Be a solid fight, Drew. It would be a very, very solid fight. Zhang, he's a big guy. I think Zhang... I don't think Zhang is smart enough to fight Itauma the right way, though. You can just see that he would say, all right, young fella, let's go. That's the type of fighter that he is. And would go out there and maybe get nailed really early. I mean, Zhang, yeah, he's a big guy. He's a solid guy, strong guy. But Itauma, apart from size, he's got absolutely nothing to offer Itauma. And the fact that Itauma would be, like Zhang would be just a stationary target. Itauma would just be pot-shotting him. That speed that he has would make Zhang look like he's in slow motion. I think Zhang would be tough, but I wouldn't be surprised if that went 2 or 3 rounds. Just by the fact that Zhang can't move. Yeah, he's big, he's strong, he's game, he's tough, but that's not going to mean much when you've got a guy in front of you who can just pot shot you with all that speed and power and line you up. I think he'd absolutely light Zhang up, and I reckon it'd be a 2nd or 3rd round stoppage. It'd be entertaining while it lasted, though, because Zhang wouldn't go down without a fight. But yeah, look, it's a good step up. I think Hrgovic would have been a good step up as well. Who else is there? Just trying to think. Have I got the rating? No, I haven't got the ratings up there, or have I? No, I haven't got them up there. Yeah, look, there's a few out there. Maybe, look, I think maybe a fight could be maybe Itauma and who knows, maybe Deontay Wilder or Chisora. Maybe the winner of that fight could fight Itauma. Bad news for either of those guys too, though. I think that would end very, very badly. But look, there's not really that many really good matchups for him, Drew. Look, at some stage, someone will really test him. Someone will step up. Always happens. Someone, it might be unexpected or it could be expected. It could be Usyk fights him and drags him in the deep waters and stops him late, whatever it might be. Maybe Justice Honey gets in there and outboxes him for 10 rounds, 12 rounds, whatever it might be. I don't know, but at some stage, someone will really test him. Who knows? I was just going to say he might fight Wardley, but that's not going to happen, is it? Because they're mates and gym mates. But having said that as well, he's about to be installed as the #1 WBO contender. What happens then? It's a big point. If the WBO are going to enforce the mandatories and suddenly Itauma becomes the #1 challenger for Wardley, if Wardley does beat Dubois, that is, could these gym mates have to fight each other? And the unthinkable could happen that they might refuse to fight each other and Wardley gets stripped and Itauma steps up and fights for the vacant title. So it could happen. But yeah, I wouldn't like to be standing across from him, Drew, because he's just got everything Itauma. Look, he did gas a little bit. That's probably his little bit of Achilles heel, but that's going to happen when you've got a young, experienced guy who hasn't fought many rounds. But yeah, he's going to be a handful for anyone. All right, explicit. Just waiting for the amendment to pass, or waiting and looking if Zuffa will make progress. Yeah, well, the Aliak thing is still ongoing, isn't it? It looks like it's going to happen. It's gone through the House and now to the Senate, and I reckon it's going to get in. If you don't know about how it all works, pretty much what it says is that an organisation can have an in-house sort of competition. The belt can be recognised. They can have their own ratings, their own title structure, all that sort of thing. And they can do it legally, and it has to be recognised by the Unified Boxing Organisations or something like that. If it gets through, and I said the other day on Walking Boxing that PBC could also enter the mix as well. They had the PBC belts out this week for the Fondora and Thurman fight, so could they be next as well? As also maybe the Ring Magazine. The Ring Magazine belt's always just been for the lineal champion or the 2 best fighters in the division. There's no real, well, I suppose there is rankings, but there's no real mandatories. There's no sanctioning fees, nothing like that. So could the Ring actually become even more, I suppose, proactive and become a proper organisation, and not only have the rankings that they have now, but actually have a legitimate world title. I know we've always thought as the Ring magazine as being the belt, but now could it become official where they're actually charging fighters sanctioning fees? And I would hate to see that, if I'm being honest, because that would just make the Ring magazine just another WBA, WBC, whatever it might be. Because all of a sudden their rankings have been manipulated and exploited, and we have the same issues with them as what we have with everyone else. So let's hope that they stay out of it and just maintain their place in the sport at the moment. But if PBC comes in with Zuffa, who knows who's next? Could be anyone. So, all right, what else have we got there? Drew says, I'm excited about the ascension of Itauma apart from fantastic speed, stamina, and footwork. The way he disguises his punches behind his jab is something to behold. Yeah, it certainly is, Drew. He's something else, as I said. As you said there, fantastic speed, great, stamina still to be worked on, great footwork. He's just got good presence. He just stands in front of his opponents, and no matter what they do, he almost dares them to be proactive. And when they do, he just comes back at them and counter punches them. And I mean, that left uppercut he hit Franklin with was just something else. He didn't even see it coming. So just, he's a talent, mate, that's for sure. I see two major turning points in the meteoric rise of Fondora. The first was his shock loss to Mendoza, and the second was his first Tszyu fight where he realised the importance of distance and reach. Yeah, it's a good point there, Drew. I was never really a big rap for Fondora. The Mendoza fight to me didn't surprise me. I knew Mendoza wasn't really, elite world class. World class, but not elite world class. But I wasn't surprised that Mendoza probably surprised he knocked out Fondora, but I wasn't surprised he beat Fondora. But what Fondora's done since then, I mean, since those first two rounds against Tim, and then he started to back himself. And I think when Tim did have the blood and everything like that, that he actually stood back and realised that all he had to do was really stay at a distance, and there's no way Tim could find him. Maybe that was a turning point for him. And he realised this is pretty easy when I actually use my height and reach. Because you remember against Mendoza and other fights before that, was it Lubin, a couple others where he really stood and traded. He just didn't need to do it. He'd get in close. You got a 6'6" guy in with maybe a 5'8", 5'9" guy just going to war. He just didn't need to do it. So maybe that first Tim Tszyu fight was where he realised that when he actually stood back at long range and realised Tim couldn't get anywhere near him, that maybe the penny dropped. And since then, he's really used his height and reach to his advantage. I mean, especially against Tim and Thurman, barely had a glove laid on him in those two fights. Tim probably landed a few, but they're more just sort of swinging from the fence type of punches. There wasn't really anything sort of set up or anything like that. So he's going to be a tough guy to beat, Fondora. And as he gets better and the confidence grows, and when he can make good fighters like Tszyu and Thurman look pretty ordinary. Can he be the one to actually beat the likes of Ortiz and Boots Ennis and these types of guys? I mean, what would be the best fight at 154, do you think? I think Fondora and Boots would be a really entertaining fight. I know we keep talking about Virgil Ortiz, but I think Fondora and Boots would be a great, or maybe Fondora murders Aliyev, but I'm thinking Fondora and Boots would probably be the best fight at 154. But anyway, I mean, there's so many different variations you could have that you can come up with probably about 8 different fights. But yeah, he's definitely improved, Drew, that's for sure. All right, explicits. Dana did answer that they'll use Ring's rankings during one of Zuffa's post-fight press conferences, if I remembered, but I don't know how it'll work. If not, all of Ring's ranked fighters will be with Zuffa. Yeah, well, yeah, it's a good point there, explicit, but how does that work? The Ring is supposed to be obviously totally independent. This is what we love about it, because it does things from a distance and it can't be influenced. It's not having to elevate people in the rankings, because of course they just decide who and where they, well, not where, but who fights who, and if it's going to be for their belt or not. I don't know. I just don't know how that would work, because the Ring ranks all non-Zuffa fighters as well. Don't know, mate. Who knows? Well, as far as I know, Zuffa don't have official rankings, do they? They probably don't. I was just going to say, they got a website or anything we can go to. let's see if I type in Zuffa rankings. Let's see what comes up. Zuffa boxing. No, it doesn't look like they have rankings. Or is it? They have fan rankings. Let's have a look here. All right, so Zuffa boxing. So I've got the heavyweights there. Fan rankings. Effie Ajagba. I don't even know half of those guys. Let's not go into that anyway. Okay, so it must be their own rankings. Effie Ajagba, Damazion Van Hooter, Joshua Juarez, Prince Charles Martin, Julian Gomez, and Jade Anderson. There's 6 fighters ranked. I don't know what that is, whether it's the official rankings or whatever, but they have actually got Zuffa heavyweight rankings there. That is pretty crazy. All voted for by the fans of all people. So, yeah, I don't know, explicit. I'm sure that once they get their fighters in place, you will see official rankings. But for now, I suppose they'll use the rings. Who knows? I think actually what all they're doing is just whoever's available. I mean, there's no way Brandon Glanton should have had a world title fight against Jai Opetaia, and there he was, because he's probably the only credentialed cruiserweight they had apart from Jai. So I'm sure it'll all work out as it goes. But how would you rate PBC's card? Just average, I thought. Explicit. Yeah, I just thought it was an average card. Yeah, is that all cards or just the one on the weekend? I thought Gaucher was unlucky to get stopped against Hernandez. I thought I did say in the walking boxing this morning that I had Tellez 8 rounds to 4 over Mendoza. Of course, it was only a 10-round fight. I probably had it 7 rounds to 3. That's probably the best I could have it. Maybe 6 rounds to 4, but definitely had Tellez winning that fight. All right. In a video recently, you talked about Glanton's ranking versus Opetaia. Zuffa used Ring Magazine's rankings at the time, was ranked number 10. Okay, so that sort of explains it, does it? All right. Well, yeah, I don't know how it works there, mate. I really don't. Maybe he was just the only cruiserweight that was in the rankings that they had on their books. I don't know. But either way, he didn't deserve a world title shot there, mate. That's all I'll say. All right, another one. You got a few questions here tonight. I'm going through them there. Hopefully, I'm getting through them okay. I don't know what's happened with our people watching, because I don't know what's going on with the settings on here, because it says there's 7 people watching and normally have about 70. So something's going on with the algorithm, I think. Upset somebody at YouTube. Who is Tim's best win after Mendoza losing? Harrison, would he be? This is the thing I'll say as well about Tim. Mendoza at the time, I mean, he was coming off the Fondora knockout, so of course he was Tim's best win. Since then has been pretty ordinary. What has he lost? 3 fights, I think. Let me just have a quick look. Brian Mendoza. I think, has he lost 3 fights? I think he's had. Where are we? La Bala. Is that the bullet? I think that means. All right. So since he beat Sebastian Fondora, he's lost 3 out of 4. So he lost to Tim. Well, so he's only had 4 fights in 3 years. So he lost to Tim, then he lost to Boachuk, then he beat Jesus Roja. That was in July last year, and then he lost yesterday to Tellez. So Tim's best win. I'd probably say Tony Harrison, but I was just going to say, mate, when I said in walking boxing the other days, I think Tim, for me, never really reached the pinnacle. Okay, he had the WBO belt around the waist, and that's great, but he's never really had that legacy win. I think the Harrison fight, as I said, but he always just reached the base camp of Mount Everest. That's why I sort of described it in walking boxing the other day. He's never really got to the peak. He's had some opportunities, obviously Fondora and Murtazaliev, and this is why it's really important, obviously, with the Spence fight. Not to say that will suddenly elevate him to elite status, but at least it gives him, I suppose, more cred going forward, because really since the Mendoza win, the wheels have just well and truly fallen off Tim, haven't they? So and this it'll be the chance against Spence to rectify that. But my best probably option, I think, explicit is probably, Tony Harrison, and he was a guy who was well past his peak. So, Drew, Keith Thurman is both a cautionary tale of wasting your prime years and growing old overnight. That said, Fondora was brilliant and truly brought his A game. Sorry, yeah, he did, mate, yeah. Well, he did, Drew. I mean, a lot of it wasn't necessarily his fault. He had the injuries and all that sort of stuff. But, I mean, looking at his record, this is Keith Thurman. Where is it here? So having a quick look at his record. So he was sort of at his peak. I mean, up until he fought Manny Pacquiao, he was coming off wins over Josecito Lopez, Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, Luis Colosso, Robert Guerrero. I mean, that's a really good sort of stretch of opponents there. Then he lost to Manny Pacquiao, and then that's when the wheels fell off. So he was out for 2.5 years, and he came back and fought Mario Barros, which in hindsight was not a bad win from Keith. But then after that, he was out for 3 years until he beat Brock, and then out for another year before yesterday's fight. So since the Manny Pacquiao fight in July of 2019, he's had, 3 fights in nearly 7 years. And I think he's 37, so he would have been sort of 29, 30 or something back when he fought Manny Pacquiao. So it's a great example there, Drew, that he's probably wasted the 5 best years of his career, and he's paid the price with what happened yesterday. And you're right, Fondora was brilliant and does deserve, I think, a little bit more credit than what old mate's giving him at the moment. But, yeah, he did bring his A game. And he just, the thing I liked about it, Drew, wasn't the fact that Sebastian Fondora won. It was the way he went about it. He totally dominated Keith Thurman. Barely got out of first gear, barely raised a sweat, pretty much shrugged his shoulders at the end of it. This is a guy that hasn't even really reached his peak yet, I don't think. So it'd be interesting to see if we get the mix of the guy that we see now and the guy that back in the day used to like to sort of throw down a little bit, somewhere in between that fighter. So maybe throwing down, putting a lot more on the punches, but also at the same time keeping his length and range. Just very, very tough guy to beat. Very tough guy. Explicit says, I don't know why Hrgovic is fighting Allen. I'd rather watch him against Itauma. Yeah. When's that fight? Is it next month or the one after, I think? I can't remember. Yeah, I'd much rather see him fight Itauma as well there, mate. But he's got that fight locked in with Dave Allen now. Heard Zuffa will announce new fighters in a week or so. Well, stay tuned for some Zuffa announcements with Australian boxers, guys, because I do know, I'm not going to say who they are, but there's a couple of very well-known Aussie boxers that are about to be released or announced as Zuffa signings. So keep a lookout for that. And you've got to remember, Zuffa need fighters for Australia. They want to do shows in Australia. Got Matchroom here, obviously no limiter here. With Zuffa coming in, they need fighters as well. So I think you're going to see them make the move. I think there might actually be a little bit of a scramble between Matchroom and Zuffa because they need fighters or content fillers for their shows. But yeah, there's a couple of Aussies. Well, not just a couple. There might actually be a few Aussies and very well-known Aussies that are about to be announced by Zuffa. So keep a lookout for that one. And no, I can't tell you who it is. All right, Explicit. I was thinking about this. In the post with Turkey and Dana announcing the partnership, the Rings logo was with TKOs and Salas. Just maybe Ring will be exclusive to only Zuffa. I'd be surprised there, but if it did happen, I think you would see the goodwill and credibility of the Ring magazine belt and the rankings, everything go down the toilet there. I think the fans would just drop off and it would lose the status of being the belt. If it's just working in with Zuffa and it's sort of being manipulated by just having their fighters and they're sort of in their rankings and controlling it that way, yeah, I think the credibility of the Ring will go down the toilet. And that's probably, it probably goes to what Oscar De La Hoya was sort of saying a little bit as well the other day, wasn't he? When he said that he regrets selling the Ring magazine newspaper and, magazine, the Ring magazine brand. Jeez, Lyndon, get with it tonight. I'm just a bit flustered because I'm looking at, we've got 3 people watching. Now, we normally have 60 to 70 people, so I don't know what I've done here with the algorithms or what's going on. Now, if you're out there, let me know, because at the moment I'm sort of talking to myself, even though I've got a lot of comments to go through. It might be an early night the way we're going. So with Oscar De La Hoya obviously explaining that he does regret selling the Ring magazine because it's sort of gone down the wrong path. Too late now, Oscar. What did he sell it for, $10 million or something like that? So it's far too late. But as I said there, mate, I think if the Ring do that, then they'll just be another belt amongst all the others, I would think, and they will not be revered and respected as much as they have been in the past. What have we got there? Sorry, guys. All right. Sorry, guys. Just getting through these comments here. What's that there? Explicit. They did have terrible audio, which is not sure what that's referring to. I've obviously missed a comment there. Asbot. Hang on. I'll go to your comment first, I think. Fondora just continues to improve, even though Thurman looked terrible, and people complaining about his height need to get a grip. Genetics play a big part in all sports. I don't know why you would complain about Fondora's height there, Polly. I don't get it. Is that like saying, well, if you're out there playing, I don't know, American football, it's unfair because one of the players is 50 kilos lighter than one of the other players, one of the defenders? That's not fair. How can we be out there? How am I supposed to get past him when he weighs 50 kilos more? I mean, come on. He weighs the same. Remember, boxing is about weight divisions, not height divisions. So, I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm with you there, Polly. That is a ridiculous statement, and he makes the weight, so get on with it. Asbot, I would much prefer Ortiz or Murtazaliev for Fondora, but I won't cry if it's Charlo, is what I'm saying. Yeah. Look, there's so many different sort of connotations, Asbot. I don't think anyone really cares who fights who. I'd like to see Murtazaliev get another crack at it. I've just got doubts that he's going to be frozen out of the main picture. I mean, why would you fight him? He's a dangerous guy. I mean, you talk about the boogeyman. He probably sort of is the definition of a boogeyman. Yes, he did get beat by Josh Kelly, but he's still a dangerous, dangerous guy. And Fondora and Ortiz and Boots, all those guys know full well that he is. So if he's got no belt, why would they possibly want to fight him? He's got no appeal. He's got no sort of following, no marketability. So why would you fight him? So if you're looking at Fondora, us fans would love to see, including me, would love to see Fondora versus Murtazaliev. But what does Fondora get out of it? If he's looking at it through a business sort of lens, a guy that can fight, which is obviously good, but a guy with no marketability, no backing, no real following. Just all wrong. The purse would be next to nothing, and the risk would be through the roof. So I get that. That Murtazaliev is not going to be a marketable, if I can spit that out, guy going forward. But I'm with you there, Asbot. I'd much prefer Ortiz or Murtazaliev for Fondora instead of Charlo. All right. Shadowbox, yeah, all right. This is about Cooper O'Connell. Great win from him yesterday. Crazy to hear Cooper say he can make 135 if he wanted. He's huge already for 140. He's looking good, though. Basing himself in the US is smart. Yeah. Look, I was so happy for him yesterday. I really was. I mean, this is a kid, I've said a few different times when we went over to the States last year for Thurman, Crawford and Canelo. Cooper, he sparred with Kamal Moton over there and did very, very well. He hit Moton with a beautiful left hand and sent Moton into a bit of a spin, actually. He just tried to knock Cooper's head off after that, and he stayed really calm and composed when he tried to do it as well. So, but he did say to me over there that he could easily make 135. He just fights at 140 because it's easy to get fights. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try and strip him down. I mean, you see the size of him at 140. Imagine what he could do at 135 if he makes it comfortably. I don't want to see the young kid sort of really boil himself down, and I'd much prefer him sort of stay at 140 where he's strong. He's obviously got massive size advantages as well, and can concentrate more on his craft rather than making weight. So, look, if you can make 135 comfortably, get him down. If it's a bit of a stretch, it's one thing to be able to make 135. It's another one to be able to make it comfortably. So if you can do it, okay, then do it. If it's a bit of a struggle, just stay at 140, get the fights in, really, as I said, hone your craft, get the rounds in, and then maybe you can go to 135 if a title opportunity or something sort of showed itself in the future. But yeah, he looks good. He's got a lot to work on, but it's a start. He would have been so nervous yesterday. I mean, Pro Box TV, he would have known everyone was watching, even though it was the first fight on the card. There's probably barely anyone there. I just thought he handled it so well and probably got a little bit excited after the first round. He sort of gassed himself out a little bit, but got the job done, and that's all you can do. So, yeah, Tony, 4 more minutes. Turn it up, Keith. Yep. Yeah, old Keithy. What do we got here? This is Charlo, is it? He unified at 154 in the 4-belt era. Walked away. Granted, does he deserve it? Up for debate, but still, it's an okay fight. This is Charlo. Yeah, no, I think, as I said before, but I think he deserves his shot. Look, okay, if you look at it just on activity, of course, he doesn't deserve a shot. Everyone else in the division's been relatively active, and he hasn't, but never lost the titles in the ring. He was undisputed. He had the Ring Magazine belt, his lineal, all that sort of stuff. So I would think if the Manny Pacquiaos of the world can do it, and others have gotten title shots for less, I think he probably deserves a shot. Give him his opportunity. Maybe, I don't know, Ortiz probably wouldn't be too happy about it because he's the mandatory. But, yeah, I think the WBC will allow it. And, yeah, look, normally I would say absolutely not. But in the current circumstances with the way boxing is in the world at the moment, is he any less deserving than so many other fighters out there that have had world title opportunities? So I just think just give him his shot. As long as he's committed and he turns up and he's in shape, all that sort of stuff, then give him his shot. And again, being a PBC fighter, it's a no-brainer. It's going to happen. All right. Tony. To be honest, I don't think Moses is ready to compete with Usyk. Physically, yes, but mentally, no. By all accounts, Usyk won't even entertain the thought, as he said, he does want to ruin his early. Doesn't want to. Is that ruin his early run? I think Usyk's a very, very smart guy, Tony. And I think probably a couple of things. He would think that Itauma is a massive threat, but also that he just doesn't need, as they say, the smoke. At this stage of his career. I mean, he's looking at retirement now. He's got this fight with a kickboxer, which I think is a nothing fight. I think the titles should be stripped from him anyway for fighting the kickboxer, just my opinion. I have said before that, yes, he's entitled to this type of fight if he wants to. If he wants to take this, he's had so many big fights throughout his career. If he wants this type of fight, no problems. But give up the belt or belts. Because all 4 or 3 organisations should be stripping Alexander Usyk for wanting to fight this kickboxer. Unless he backs up really quick and gets a mandatory for one of those sanctioning bodies next. Yeah, and I think the other thing is that, yeah, he probably knows Itauma is a very, very risky fight for him. And maybe at this stage of money, who knows whether it's going to be a big enough fight for him. I don't know, Tony, but I just think by the time Itauma is really ready to go for the belt, I think Usyk might be on his way out. I mean, he has said that he's got this kickbox, and then he's got, who's he looking after that? The winner of Wardley and Dubois, which I still think is up in the air, because if Dubois wins, and we really want to see him stop Dubois a third time, he's already said that he wouldn't mind Cabello instead of Tyson Fury. So I think it's okay to have sort of a guideline of what you want to do. But I think it's just going to be a fight-by-fight thing. I think if Dubois beats Wardley, I wouldn't be surprised if Usyk says, you know what, let's forget about that. Maybe try and bring forward the Tyson Fury fight. And if he gets past that, then maybe if Cabello is kept winning, maybe it's him. Or maybe Itauma has a couple of wins and maybe it's him. Who knows? But I think it's just a fight-by-fight scenario at the moment, Tony. Eminem, the Fondoras are freaks. Big problems for everyone in their divisions. This is Gabriella as well. Only fighter I think could beat Sebastian in his boots because of his footwork, speed, and switch hitting. Yeah, I've got a feeling Virgil Ortiz and Jamel Charlo would be similar type of fights to what Tim and Thurman were, where they would really struggle to get close to Fondora and land their punches. I think Ortiz is obviously a very, very good fighter, but he's a typical Mexican where he's very predictable, one-dimensional, very effective, but he's got to get close to Fondora first, and whether he can do that's another problem for him. Charlo's similar. Has he got the IQ to get close? I did say that he's probably got a better chance than Thurman because he is a really strong, tough, hard type of fighter, and he can punch a little bit better than Thurman, so maybe that's an advantage to him. I couldn't see Bakram Murtazalyov getting close to Fondora either. You're probably right there, Eminem. Boots is probably the more logical one because he has got good speed, good footwork, and has okay power as well. And you're right, he does switch hit as well. Asbot, no way Spence wants any part of Fondora. I reckon Charlo could be a fun fight. Yeah, I couldn't see Spence getting anywhere near Fondora, but if he does beat Tim, another PBC fighter, then maybe it might be Charlo and then Spence. Geez, wouldn't that be a bit of an old citizen sort of run, wouldn't it? It'd be Thurman, Charlo, Spence. Bit of a blast from the past sort of farewell tour, wouldn't it, for all those guys? But he is with PBC and they like to keep it all in-house, don't they? But we'll see. All right. Big J. Sorry, I'm still sort of getting back to the order here. Tim needs a similar performance like Fondora's at the weekend. A dominant 6th or 7th round breakdown of his opponent, finishing with the top stoppage. Anything more or less won't work in his favour. Yeah, I said that earlier, Big J. I just think they'll be thinking stoppage or knockout. That'll be the aim. The Velasquez fight was just getting 10 good hard rounds under his belt. This one will be about making a statement. So I think you'll see Tim really try and put the foot down and get the win, the stoppage win over Nerja. Eminem can't wait to watch Cooper's career. Well, he's on his way, Eminem. Look, I can't announce it, but just stay tuned for a really big call on Cooper's career with who he's going to sign with. Okay, if I talked to Shannon, his mum, on the weekend after the fight, and of course I won't say it on here, but very prominent manager / sort of promoter out there is looking at Cooper, and there was sort of provisions on looking good over the weekend. He obviously did that. So if it does happen the way I think, it looks like it's going to happen, massive news for Cooper, and he'll be saying no limit who, I would think, if the signing does take place. Good money on a lot of big cards, matched properly. Sometimes you just got to take a chance. Not to saying it's all going to just happen for Cooper, but geez, this is a kid who was shunned by No Limit. They had him on, I think, one of their cards and didn't want to sign him, didn't want him on their roster. I've said before, I would have thought Cooper O'Connell would have been the type of young fighter that would have ticked all the boxes for No Limit. A young guy, Queensland guy. I mean, they do fights up in Queensland all the time. 19 years of age. Amateur junior world champion, very marketable. I just would have thought he would have been the perfect fit for No Limit, but for whatever reason, they didn't want to put him on their shows, and now he sort of said, all right, if you don't want me, I'm gonna take my career in my own hands. I'm going to go to America, and he's done that. Again, there's no guarantees he's going to make it, but he's gone over there. He's living, very, very lean over there in the back of someone's house. All he does is train over there. I know Shannon has sacrificed a lot for him to be over there as well. So I just wish the kid all the best wishes in the world. I really do, because to talk about someone that deserves it if he makes it, it's Cooper O'Connell, and I suppose his mum going along with him as well would go along for the ride. So yeah, really hoping he gets to the big time, Eminem, and I'm sure he'll get the opportunity if this signing does happen. Yep, still with Eminem. Mayweather Pac-Man 2 is an exhibition. Yeah. Is it going to sell? Is it going to sell being an exhibition? I don't think so. And look, the way Floyd Mayweather was talking, I've got a suspicion this fight might not happen at all. I've got a feeling Mayweather, and he hasn't really spoken about the Pac-Man fight or the Tyson fight much at all. And the weekend he did. And the way he talked about the Pacquiao fight to me just sort of showed to me that he hasn't fully made up his mind whether he's going to do it or not. And if he does do it, it's all going to be on his terms. I don't think to me, it's just like he's not happy that this has all been leaked without him being the one to leak it. We know he likes to control the narrative and the circumstances and the announcements and all that sort of stuff. And I think the fact that it was all sort of fully announced without a proper press conference or him announcing it himself, I just think he was saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to take control of this. If this is going to happen, it's going to be on me. Now, the Sphere, yeah, well, no, we haven't decided on that. If it's going to be there, I'll decide it, not anyone else. If it's going to be Pacquiao or it's going to be a fight or an exhibition, yeah, no, I'm going to decide that, not Pacquiao. So I think it was him, even though he's very low-key on the whole thing, I got a feeling he was just making a little bit of a statement to say, hey, I'm in charge here. I'm the boss. And I'll be letting you know what's going to happen. I just think the fact that he said now it's an exhibition is probably the first step. The Sphere was the other one. He said, no, I'll let you know when the arena's been announced. So I wouldn't be surprised if Pac-Man then comes back and says, you know what, if it's going to be an exhibition, I'm out. Because remember, he said all along he'll only fight Mayweather if it's a fight, not an exhibition. Now, having said that, if there's $100 million to be shared between the two, I've got a feeling that Pacquiao will take the fight. But yeah, I'm just, if I had to go on a scale of 1 to 10, whether it happens or not, I probably think it's probably about a 6 at the moment. Now that could change really, really quickly. But I just got the impression watching Mayweather with his comments, he was like, yeah, everyone just hold your horses. Okay, if it's going to happen, I'll be the one to let you know, not Pacquiao. So yeah, we'll see. All right, Naz, I'd love to see Itauma fight in the US against Jared Anderson or Richard Torres to build his profile there, or even Andy Ruiz. Nice hand speed battle there. I wouldn't get too excited about Andy Ruiz, Naz. I've got a suspicion we won't ever see him in the ring again, if I'm being honest. I'd love to see Itauma fight in the US, and I'm sure it will happen at some stage. Anderson, yeah, very, very winnable fight. Torres would be a good one. I reckon they'll save that fight for down the track. Both really good young guys. So yeah, I would think Torres would be a fight maybe in a couple of years' time. But Anderson, yep, not a bad fight. There's a few out there anyway there for him in the States anyway, Naz. But yeah, I think at some stage we'll see him over in the US. Still with Naz, please let Fondora test himself against a non-PBC fighter next. Zayos, Boots, Virgil, Madrimov, just not Charlo. So frustrating how PBC try and keep everything in-house. Yeah, well, mate, it's going to be the same with Zuffa and a few of the others as well, isn't it? And I'm sure that, most promotional firms sort of do it, don't they, to some extent? They like to keep it in-house, but PBC just do it more than anyone else. Zayos and Boots are off the table at the moment. Virgil Ortiz, I don't know what's going on with him. Madrimov, yeah, I'm not sure that's the type of fight that Fondora would be sort of after. Murtazaliev, of course, as I said before, I think would be much too dangerous for him at the moment. I think it's going to be Charlo, Naz. So, look, if Charlo can turn up, 90 to 95% of the fighter that he was before the Canelo fight, then we've got a fight in our hands. We really do. I mean, I think we forget how good Charlo was back in the day. But having said that, by the time they get in there, it'll be 3 years out of the ring. It's a long, long time. And I just sometimes just scratch my head about the fighters of today, where they just fight so irregularly. I know I'm in my 50s now, so I get it back in the day with the Chavezes and Tysons and all these guys, how often they fought. It just frustrates me that you have a guy that'll have up to 2 years out of the ring and not really think twice about it. I know money is the main thing, but back then it wasn't just about money. It was about legacy and just being a fighter. So it does frustrate me. That's why I like Fondora. He does fight 2 or 3 times a year. And not so much respect for Charlo because he doesn't. But I just think it's going to be Charlo, Naz. Just all sort of signs point to him. And as I said, if you can get anywhere near what he was before Canelo, then I reckon we've got a fight in our hands. All right, now it's interesting to see 2 of Tim's biggest wins in Gorchet and Mendoza, both soundly beaten on the weekend. His biggest win in Tony Harrison hasn't been doing much lately either. Yeah, again, Naz, I thought Gorchet was unlucky. Mendoza fought okay. He's just way too cautious for me. He's got good skills. He's obviously got some power when he uses it. He's a very, what do you call it? It's like a vanilla type of fighter, if that makes sense. Just very up and down, very plain, Brian Mendoza. He doesn't really, even with the Fondora one, I know he knocked him out in the end. That's all you've got to do, but he never really takes the fight on. He never really puts the foot down. He never really lets any sort of haymakers go. He's just very controlled. And I just thought yesterday the opportunity was there, especially with Tellez's nose, that he could have really sort of thrown a few big bombs, and he didn't. I mean, I was really surprised that after the fight resumed with the nose, that he just went back to boxing cautiously and just allowed Tellez to dominate proceedings. And I would have thought the instructions from the corner would have been, mate, he can't breathe. He's probably got blood running down the back of his throat. He's probably got watery eyes and all this sort of stuff. So he's probably really struggling with that. Not to mention probably a split and headache as well. Why wouldn't you go out there and really put it on him? And he just boxed carefully and cautiously over the next, 7 rounds and just lost a clear-cut decision. So, yeah, I was really disappointed that he didn't get the win there, Naz. But you are right. It is interesting that, Tim's biggest wins, both pretty much out of the title picture now for good, I would think. And Tony Harrison is out as well. So this is what I was saying as well, Naz, is that this is why there's still some massive sort of question marks or asterisks beside sort of Tim's career, because, as I said before, he's just got the base camp. He's never got to the pinnacle of boxing. And now the Spence fight might give him that opportunity. But at the moment, I just sort of see him on about 2 shelves below the top shelf, if that makes sense. But he's got an opportunity to rectify it. But, I think the Gauchers and Mendozas and Harrisons are probably showing that, and definitely the Alcampos and these type of guys have sort of shown that maybe we got a little bit excited over here with some of the quality of some of those wins that he had. All right, Naz, is Chisora Wilder actually a pay-per-view? Yes, it is, mate. How on earth is that? Still wish I could afford DAZN, but not sad that I cancelled it if that fight is pay-per-view. Yeah. I don't know what the costing is with DAZN at the moment, Naz. I got it, I've just sort of paid by the year normally. I think it's $130 for the year, which is pretty affordable, I suppose. I understand a lot of people can only sort of do month by month. I'm not sure what that is, but I don't mind having it for $130 a year. What's that, $11 a month or something like that, which is pretty good. But this whole new system they've got with DAZN with the pay-per-view option, I think is it like $45 or something a month, but you get pay-per-views. How would you be paying that and you get Chisora Wilder as that month's pay-per-view event? So that's why I haven't upgraded. I always get messages and that about it. And every time I sort of log on and ask me whether I want to upgrade, I never will. I'll always just pay by I'll probably even go back to pay by the month, to be honest, because it's not like they have a lot of really good shows on at the moment. Although, having said that, with Top Rank and Golden Boy now firmly part of it, maybe I will. But I'm definitely not going to sign up for the pay-per-view part of it because I just don't see the value in it. I'd rather pay the $40 or $50, whatever it is, when the right pay-per-view comes up. Why would I possibly want to have Chisora and Wilder as my pay-per-view for that month? It's ridiculous. So, and the fact that DAZN are actually asking people to pay for that is a joke, Naz. So, I'm with you there. But look at getting it back on though, Naz, because with Top Rank and Golden Boy now back amongst it, while Golden Boy's going back in and Top Rank's signing up for the first time, it means we'll have Golden Boy, Top Rank, Matchroom and Queensberry and Riyadh season, of course, all with DAZN. So I think it might be worth sort of getting back on, mate, but see how you go. Stoked for young Cooper. I truly believe the way he's doing it is the right way, learning in the cauldron of US gyms, sparring other contenders. He's giving himself every chance to succeed. Yeah, well, and that's the thing, now, as I said before, with taking the plunge to go over there. Now, you look at sparring. Now, I don't know who we're sparring with over here. I know there's probably some good guys, okay guys you're sparring with and everything else. While we're over there in Vegas, not only was there Kermel Moton, we sort of went up in level every time. The first day was just a guy from the wild card, okay? Not wild card, the Mayweather's gym. So he went to Mayweather's gym. He jumped in the ring just with some guy, looked capable, he looked okay. So Cooper sparred him for 4 or 5 rounds, whatever it was, and went really well. It was a good spar. And if you spar at the Mayweather's gym, it's as they call it, the dog pen, or what's it called over there? The doghouse, I think it's called. So it's pretty intimidating. That particular day, it wasn't overly intimidating. It was during the day, and the Mayweather crew sort of weren't there. But there was a Mayweather fighter there. I think he was a Mayweather fighter. So they said, yeah, you can spar with this guy. So they made Cooper wait about an hour and a half, by the way. The kid's ready to go, all gloved up, and they made him wait. I thought, yeah, okay, whatever. So they finally got in there and sparred, and Cooper did really, really well. And you talk about taking your opportunities. This is a kid from Australia that no one knew. They made him wait out the ring for an hour and a half to get in there and spar. When he went in there, he took his opportunity. Now, it was a good spar, good, tough spar, but there was a guy sitting outside the ring. And we got talking to him, and he actually came over and said, oh, this kid here looks all right. Would you mind if I bought... And he obviously knew Eric, the trainer, as well. And he said to Eric, hey, do you mind if I've got this fight, I wouldn't mind bringing over. I think it'd be a perfect spar for a young fella there. So the next day, I think it was, or the day after, whatever it was, he brought this guy over to the Split T gym in Vegas. This is Eric's gym and where Cooper trains now. Ended up being a Cuban fighter, southpaw, just super slick. I think he was a gun amateur. He'd had a few pro fights. But, I mean, this is elite. This guy was elite. And the spar was elite in itself. So that was that spar. Then the next one after that was, all right, well, I think we're doing well enough to maybe look at... Because I think my old mate Tazzy Brown might have had something to do with it as well. I was through Rob Fogarty. He was over in Vegas at the time. I think him and Tazzy might have talked. I can't remember what happened anyway, but Rob, we met him at the open workouts for the Crawford and Canelo fight. I mean, and word must have got through to him or whatever, and he said, hey, look, if you're interested in sparring Kamel Moton, I can get you some rounds with him. So then the next day after that, Cooper went and sparred with Kamel Moton. So in the space of a week, he's gone from this guy at Mayweather's gym to the Cuban to Kamel Moton. Now, you just can't buy that type of sparring anywhere, or anywhere, especially in Australia. So talk about doing it the right way. He's doing it the right way because he could have been over here sparring with this other guys here in the gyms here, over here, but he's over there, and you're in Vegas. You can go to 10 different, you can go to 10 different gyms during the week for 10 different sparring sessions, and away you go. This is the way it works. And that's why, look, he's going to give it his best shot. If he doesn't make it, well, so be it. But I'll really take my hat off to him, what he's doing over there. And I suppose it's proof to anyone that if you just take a chance, then doors can open. And if the door opens that looks like it's going to open, it'll be well worth the risk about going over there and the sacrifice. So anyone watching out there, don't be afraid to take a chance. Get out of your comfort zone and go chase your dream because that's how quick it can happen. As I said, we're over there for a week to watch Canelo and Crawford. And Cooper just said, I wouldn't mind doing some training at Mayweather's and maybe get some sparring and love to spar Kamel Moton. How good would that be? And within a week, he's got himself a new trainer, maybe a new contract over there with a very prominent manager and promoter, and he's sparring elite world-class guys. So that's how quickly it can happen. All right, Naz was hanging out for tickets to Matchroom show in Melbourne, but by the time they went on sale was only general admission left. It would be hard to get there early due to young fella school, etc. Yeah, when is that? Is that the 29th, I think, is it, of April? I think it is. Yeah, should be a great card, Naz. Yeah, I probably won't go. I'm not really big for going to the fight nights these days, unless it's overseas. But yeah, it should be a great event with Sky Nicholson on there and Bella on there. Hussein, is it Ben Hussein? Who's he fighting again? Actually, I'll just quickly bring it up. Who have we got? Sky Nicholson. So she's the main event. All right, where is it? All right, so yeah, 29th of April. So Sky Nicholson and Mariah Turner is the main event. Bella, Jake Wiley, of course. Great fight that'll be. Andrew Hunt, Benjamin Hussein. What a fight that'll be. What a great card. I'm not really familiar with a lot of other fighters on there. I've seen Chloe Chaos fight a couple of times. Not really sure about the others. But those three main fights, Hunt and Hussein, Bella and Wiley, and Sky Nicholson and Mariah Turner. Three great fights, so worth every cent. So if you're down there, and even general admission, get along and see the fights. Personally feel Charlo would need to do something to earn a shot at a belt before being out for so long. Mind you, that didn't stop Thurman from getting one. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Naz. That's why normally I would say absolutely not. Does he deserve a chance? But you got Thurman with one fight in, 4 or 5 years. Pacquiao coming back out after, what was he out of the ring for? Was it, how long, when did he last fight? Was it 2019? Is that how long he was out for? Couldn't be that long, could it? Was it 6 years, 7 years? Let's have a look. Was it 2019 when he... Oh, no, he fought in 2021, I think, didn't he? Where are we? Let's go to 2021. Yeah, okay. So it was 4 years, it was, in between fights for the Pac-Man. It's actually got his fight on BoxRec at the moment. There you go. Don't say anything about an exhibition there. It just said it's Nevada State Athletic Commission. So they wouldn't police exhibitions, would they? They just police real fights. And it does say the Sphere as well. So they better update BoxRec if you're talking to Floyd Mayweather. Naz says, middleweight there for the taking. If any of the bigger 154s feel like moving up, would love to see Dylan Biggs stay active off the back of his Grand Prix win and see how far he can go at middleweight. You haven't really heard much about Dylan Biggs, have we, since he fought? I'll just quickly check BoxRec and see whether anything's planned for him. So what is he now? 16, was that 18-1? Is it? Has he lost one fight? Where are we? Was it Bow Desert Storm? 18-1. So he hasn't fought. Well, it's only been 3 months when he won the Grand Prix. It's well and truly open, as I did say this morning too, with Tim Tszyu. He's talking about going up to 160 as well, because what's happening with Janabek and Adames, and the IBF title's vacant as well. So yeah, some opportunities. And WBA, who knows? Wouldn't it be interesting if he fought Erizandi Lara? Now that'd be a great fight as well. So it's definitely open there, Naz. I'm just not so sure Dylan's at that level, though, if I'm being honest, but you never know. Kyle Hilton. How are you, Kyle? What's your thoughts on Talipay Kamakao happening in a couple of weeks? Well, that is a bizarre fight, Kyle. You've got the ex-school teacher Kamakao. Is he ex-school teacher or is he still teaching? I'm not sure, but school teacher Kamakao against the former student Talipay. Pretty crazy. What card is that on? Let me just have a quick look. Joel Camilleri. All right. So that is on April the 11th at the Melbourne Pavilion. So he's the main event. All right. So Christian Posev is the promoter. So I'm not sure. Well, I don't recognise any of the guys on the undercard of that. But yeah, Joel Camilleri against Lilo Talipay. 6-0. Joel Camilleri, 30 wins, 8 losses, 1 draw. Kamakao is a very tricky fighter, Kyle. I like Talipay. I've just got a feeling Kamakao might just get him on points. I think he's a little bit too experienced for me. Talipay is very raw. I know he's had 6 wins for, is it 6 KOs he's had? I think it might be. Yeah, 6 knockouts as well. Yep. Not a bad fighter, Lilo Talipay, but I'm going to back Kamakao on points there, Kyle. But what a bizarre fight. The former teacher and pupil fighting in the ring is crazy. All right, Ali, there's a Rafa Eubank news this week. Who would be the promoter putting on that show in Australia? Don't know if anyone has the financials to make this work in Australia. Well, that's what I've been saying to Ali, is that in a couple of times this week on Walking Boxing, that I just don't see it happening in Australia. One is that Eubank's probably going to want probably a couple of $1 million to come down here and fight. There is no promoter that wants to touch Michaels or Rafa. The only 2 promoters that could, well, maybe there's 3. I was going to say the 2 promoters being No Limit and Matchroom, I doubt would work with, No Limit wouldn't work with Zarafa. And I don't think Matchroom would work with Eubank. So there's maybe Zuffa. That's probably the only thing. But then you got Eubank, who's with Boxer. I don't know how all that would work. But yeah, I don't see a promoter putting it on here, Ali. And I don't think there's the money to make it work either. And I did say again this morning that his manager, Eubank's manager, said something about a stadium fight. I mean, are you kidding me? You know, stadium fight is 25,000 plus. That is a stadium fight. Anything below that is obviously an arena fight. Then you've got a stadium, a hall fight, or like a pavilion or somewhere like that. A stadium fight is 25 to 30,000 plus. Michael Zarafa and Chris Eubank Jr. are going to draw 25 to 30,000 people. Come on. That is just that is April Fool's stuff. That is. So that's why I don't think it'd work either. I did say as well, I think there'd be no more than probably 3,000 people, if that, would go and watch that fight. Just my opinion. Good fight for Michael Zarafa, I will say. I'm not saying it's not. Makes sense for Michael to chase the fight with someone like Chris Eubank Jr., but I just don't think, as I said, there's a promoter here to put it on. There's the money here to put it on, and I just don't think people will either turn up to watch it or tune in on pay-per-view. The only hope it has on pay-per-view is if it goes back to England, and would they buy a Eubank versus a Zarafa fight? I mean, don't know. But yeah, good fight for Michael Zarafa, but I just don't see how it sells here in Australia at all, or even in England, to be honest, how it would sell. Dan, can't wait for the Charlo beatdown from Fondora. I'm going to enjoy that one. If anyone thinks Charlo has a chance, they have rocks in the head. Yeah. I wouldn't say he hasn't got a chance, but I'll be 100% backing Fondora, Dan, only because of the inactivity from Jamal Charlo. But I don't begrudge Fondora from taking the fight. But yeah, it's I don't think he'd have much hope, if I'm being honest. Richard, I can't pick a winner for Wardley versus Dubois. Who do you reckon? Also, how many tune-ups for Huni until he takes a big fight? Itauma is too much for him at the moment, I think. I'm struggling to pick a winner as well, Richard. I'm sort of leaning towards Dubois, if I'm being honest. I think Wardley, look, he's got a ton of heart, but he's very, very limited. Not to say Dubois is anything special either. I just think he's a little more talented than Wardley. Although, having said that, too, Wardley is a hell of a lot tougher than Dubois. I think Dubois can be a little fragile. I don't know. I have no idea, Richard. It's a flip of the coin for me. You've got Wardley, who's very limited but very tough. Then you've got Dubois, who's probably, he's had a little bit more experience. Probably, I don't know, is he a bigger puncher than Wardley? Maybe not. But I just think he might be a bit fragile. I'm just sort of saying Dubois, but I'm maybe now leaning towards Wardley. I'll go with Wardley then. Richard, there you go. I said Dubois, but I'm going to go with Wardley. I'm more hoping that he wins, to be honest. I'd love him to get a chance at Usyk. I don't think he probably stands a chance against Usyk, but he deserves an opportunity. So, yeah, I'll go with Wardley. I've changed my pick. Fabio Wardley for me. Have any tune-ups for Huni until he takes a big fight? I think a couple, Richard. I think if he gets past his next one, when he's a week or two away on the Tyson Fury card, I think if he gets past that, I reckon you might see him step up to a fringe sort of top 10 to 15 type of opponent. And if he wins that one, I reckon they'll stick him straight back into a top 10 ranked fighter. So big stakes for Justice Huni. As far as what's his name, Itauma, I think right now he might be a bit much for him, Richard. But as I said, I think if anyone can trouble Itauma, it's Justice Huni with his speed and footwork and his movement and everything else. So, but the big question is what happens when he gets nailed. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to ever be the right timing for Justice, unfortunately, Richard, but it'd be a good fight. Quick rundown on the No Limit card this Sunday. Ooh, okay. Let's have a quick look. Let's have a quick look at the card. Oh, geez, it's crept up really quick, hasn't it? So, Easter Sunday. Probably have to put it on the pub then, won't I? People go to the pub on a Sunday to watch the fights, probably, if they don't have to pay for it themselves. All right. So Tim and we'll start from the other fights coming up. They're in no particular order on Box Rec. Is there I won't look it up because they're all. Where are we? All right. I think so. We've got Darren Gara Truella 7-0 against Dominic Bailey 4-1. I think Truella, you'd think would win that. I haven't seen Bailey fight from memory. Callum Peters and Dilio Mozzino. Peters 5-0. Mozzino, I think you pronounce it. 4-0. I think Callum Peters. No one's beating him at this stage of his career. Charlie Kazi, Blair Jarate, both undefeated. Kazi 9-0. Jarate 5-0. I suppose I'll go for Kazi. He's the house fighter. Max Reeves 12-1-1 against Francis Watai, who is 13-3-1. No idea on that one. I'll pick Max Reeves, I suppose. Nelson, the rugby player, Solomona against Jared Wallace. I think Nelson Solomona will probably knock out Jared Wallace. Sam Goodman, Rodrigo Ruiz. I think Sam Goodman wins that one on points. Tim Tszyu and Dennis Nerja. Oh, sorry, there's another one there. Paulo Akuso and Kitty Pong Jian Hao Ho. 13, 1-1. I'll go for Paulo Akuso in that one. Just hope he can get some consistency, Paulo Akuso. Been far too inactive for me. But then the main event, Tim Tszyu and Dennis Nerja. I think Tim Tszyu wins that in 7 to 8 rounds. I think he stops Dennis Nerja. There you go. What's this? Arak, Charlie Z versus Clarissa Shields. I have no idea there. Arak. Someone needs to shut her up though, don't they? All right, is that Charlie the guy that's undefeated and goes around and hands the gloves to people and then smacks the shit out of them? Jeez, I'd love to see that guy get ironed out. Wouldn't it be funny though if he handed the gloves to someone who actually knew what they were doing and he actually absolutely got the shit beat out of him? Now that would be funny. All right, Cal. I was wondering if Fondora had a hard hit, and seeing Thurman's face. Well, I think he can hit. I'm not quite sure what that means there, Cal. I'm assuming you meant that you think that Thurman didn't realise Fondora could hit until he was actually hit. Maybe. How can you deal with a 6'5" boxer? Very good question, Ed. That's a really good question. I must admit, look, it's easier said than done outside the ring, Ed. I would think if I was fighting someone like that, and I will say straight off the bat, it is extremely hard to fight someone like Fondora, not necessarily just because of their height and reach, it's because of the way he fights. Most guys that height and with the reach will be on the bike and they'll box you from a long distance and allow you to come towards him, so at least it gives you a chance. Fondora stands right in front of you and has that jab out or the right hand and left hand coming at you all the time, and his work rate is so high that he just doesn't give you a chance to set up your punches and get your range. So it'd be pretty tough. I must admit, if I was fighting him, I'd probably be trying to, if he's going to come at me, I would be probably trying to time him with a right hand straight down the middle, but have my head outside his right shoulder, if that makes sense. So I'd allow him to come in with his right jab, and I'd be trying to go outside the jab and throw the straight right hand down the middle at the same time. I wouldn't just be trying to bowl in the right hands like Tim Tszyu did. I'd be trying to go, as I said, I'd have his right jab slip over my right shoulder and then try and come straight down the middle. Easier said than done, I will say. Another thing might be is to maybe time the left hand coming at you and slip outside that and come over the right hand. I don't know. I'm just very easy to do outside here, I will say. But what I wouldn't do is go in a straight line backwards. You just can't do that. And he's coming at you. You've got no hope. And Tim Tszyu learnt that. Moving to the right is obviously not going to work either. That showed with Thurman. Totally ineffective. It's a tough one, Ed, but that's what I do anyway. I definitely move to my left, and I'll be trying to time that jab and coming straight down the middle with a right hand, and then if I'm going outside the left, coming over the right hand. So anyway, as I said, mate, easier said than done. All right, Richard, the proposed Eubank versus Zuffa fight should be in the UK. Imagine Zuffa with a mic over there. It's not a crazy fight, but who knows if it will get the green light. It's not a bad fight. The thing is with Michael Zuffa, though, Richard, is that when he gets out of Australia, it's not the same Michael Zuffa you see here. You never see him sort of yapping like he does here. I think he'd get over there, and I mean, it's pretty intimidating, I suppose, to go over to Eubank's home sort of patch if that was the case. I don't think he'd be intimidated as far as in the ring. It'd just be, I don't think you'd see an extroverted Michael. I think you'd see a more introverted Michael. So, but I'm with you. It should be in the UK, and I think if they do fight, it will be over there, mate, because, again, I just can't see anyone being able to put it on here. Tony Thomas Treva wasn't on his best form, to be honest. Too many ears and ahs. You want the best ring announcer in 2026, you can't go past our Stephen Pierce top operator. He is, mate. I think internationally it's time for a change in the guard too, Tony. I think Michael Buffer's really starting to struggle. Jimmy Lennon Jr. is still okay, but he just waffles on way too much for me, Jimmy Lennon. I love him as an announcer, but everyone's the hard-hitting this and introducing him, and he says introducing about 3 or 4 times. I'd like to get straight to the point. Michael Buffer, I don't think he sort of can remember what he's actually said. It tends to drift off, and I think he's sort of showing his age a bit. But you're right, though. Tony can't go past Stephen Pierce, a great Aussie announcer, and deserves his chance. Jason James, how are you, Jason? Fondora toyed with Keith for the first 3 rounds. Would have liked to see it go a little longer, but that's because I don't like Thurman. Yeah, which is he got carved up though, didn't he? I think you would have got a little bit of enjoyment though, wouldn't you, Jason, by seeing Thurman at the end of the fight. All right, Ryan, Itauma, Fondora really excited me in regards to the future of boxing. They look unbeatable in the weight divisions at the moment. Really exciting. Could be famous last words though, Ryan. They look unbeatable. When you start putting that on people, you know what's going to happen next, aren't you? They're gonna get beat. Look, both of them are definitely beatable, but who's going to do it? Someone always pops up, but who's it going to be? I think out of both of them, I'd probably say that Fondora could be more vulnerable at 154 than Itauma at heavyweight. I just don't see anyone at heavyweight that's got anything apart from sort of Usyk, to be honest. I think Tyson Fury's well past his peak. I think he'd knock out Joshua. Yeah, I don't know. Whereas at least at 154, Fondora's got a lot of killers in that division who could keep him occupied for the next probably 5 or 6 years. Who's the best fight for Itauma? Is it Anthony Joshua? No, I don't think so, Mutsy. I think you would see very early knockout. I wouldn't be surprised if that ended in 1 round, to be honest. And Anthony Joshua's been a very, very good fighter over the years, but I'm talking about styles. Anthony Joshua, just thinking this stage, if Daniel Dubois can knock out Anthony Joshua, I think Moses Itauma could get it over in a round. I really do. Paul Patter, how are you, Paul? After watching the Fondora-Thurman fight, I definitely think Tim would have beaten Thurman if the fight was never cancelled. I wonder where Tim would be in his career if he had beaten Thurman. It's a good call, Paul. I'm with you there. Judging by what I've seen yesterday, I think Tim Tszyu, the one that fought Fondora against the Thurman that fought Fondora, I think Tim Tszyu wins that fight. Yep. Yeah, I'm still trying to get my head around Keith Thurman's performance. Like, he just did not turn up. Again, I know Fondora is the size and reach and all that sort of stuff, but at no point did Thurman try and win the fight. I know I've said that a few times, but if you're going to go out, do what Tim Tszyu did. I know it was probably a little bit reckless in the end, but at least I'm not saying to go out there and just throw punches Hail Mary style like Tim did, but at least try and win the fight. Try and land some punches. Try and engage. All he did was get himself carved up. He barely landed a punch in the whole fight. I just thought, again, it was a really disappointing performance from Keith Thurman. And, I think Tim would have beaten Thurman for sure. May have missed the news, said Ali, but did Eddie Hearn do a deal with Foxtel for multiple shows a year in Oz? Sam LeBrun discussing this on Jai's channel in relation to his upcoming fight night in Melbourne. Yeah, he did, Ali. I think he's got up to, 8 shows a year? The word is he won't do 8 shows, but he's got access to do it. I reckon it might be more like 4 or 5 shows. So, yeah, he certainly has, and he'll be doing it obviously in conjunction with guys like Sam LeBrun. I wouldn't be surprised if he has sort of a guy like Sam LeBrun in Melbourne. He has someone in New South Wales, Sydney, and he has someone in Brisbane as well. Eddie Hearn, I would think. Kane, Mac, how are you, Kane? I don't know if it's just me, but I don't like the PBC path Tim is taking. Fighting Spence is a waste of time. The bloke is inactive and done at the top level. Yeah, I do agree to some extent, Kane, but you're also going to look at it through the management of Tim's eyes, or Tim's management's eyes, is that Spence is still a massive name. Very, very winnable fight for Tim. If he beats Spence, he gets a lot of cred, his ratings, all the money involved, all that sort of stuff. It's not necessarily the path, the PBC path for me came, but I think the Spence fight does make sense. It really does. A lot of activity in the 154-pound division at the moment. They're all sort of fighting each other, and it could be a year or 18 months before Tim is really in line to fight for a belt. So why not go for the next best thing in fighting someone like Spence? Because even now that Jamal Charlo has entered the equation, it sort of ties Fondora up, because Fondora we all sort of thought could have been Ortiz. Now Ortiz is going to be tied. He might fight, as I said before, a domino effect with Murtazaliev or Josh Kelly or someone like that, and then it could prolong this 154-pound division for the next 12 to 18 months. So I just think that's the right fight for Tim. I'm not a big fan of PBC, but take that aside, I think it's a right move for Tim, 100%. Yeah, Tony says that Moses would retire Joshua. Poor fella is mentally very weak, most especially after that car crash. Yeah, well, he was always a little bit soft anyway, wasn't he, Tony, Joshua? And I think, especially after that car crash, I don't know how he's going to react And you would think that, Moses would absolutely wipe him out, I would think. Ed says, Fondora is tall and fundamentally solid, kind of scary against a normally smaller guy. Yep, I'm with you there, mate. Tony, I'd love to see Moses fight Wilder and that mouthy goose Chisora, not one after another, but both at the same time. I reckon he'd iron both of them out, Tony, that's for sure. He's that good. Drew. All right, with Jai Opetaia now being officially stripped of his IBF belt, he now seems stranded. I can see Zuffa becoming a transit lounge for those starting and ending their careers, no prime mid-career. Still trying to get my head around that too, Drew, probably like a lot of you guys out there. Now that he's been officially stripped, what now? I said this in one of the episodes the other day. What happens to Jai now? No belt. The winner of Benavides and Zerto, they don't have to fight him. He's got nothing to offer. Michelanian, I know he probably likes the idea of a fight with Jai, but he probably liked the idea a hell of a lot more when there was a belt on offer. Do you really think he's going to want to risk his WBC belt against Jai? And even if he does want to risk the belt, is he potentially going to risk what happened with Jai where he gets stripped of his WBC belt? So it's just, I don't know. And you would have seen the interview the other day with Mick Francis. Wasn't overly convincing. You would have seen my video if you watch Walking Boxing where the one question I wanted asked wasn't asked at all, or the one question I wanted answered wasn't asked, and that was, did they ever get clarification from the IBF that it was going to be okay to do what they did? It's one thing to get permission from Dana White and Zuffa. It's another thing they had to say they had the sanctioning letter. But again, the IBF have made it quite clear that, yes, they sanctioned the fight when they were under the impression that the belt was for a trophy sort of situation. And when it was revealed that it would be for a full sort of world title belt, they pulled the sanction after that and returned the sanctioning fee. So I don't know where he goes, Drew. I really don't. There's no, if he's got to stick within the Zuffa sphere, I suppose, or the universe. Glanton was the other only recognised, well, if you can say recognised, cruiserweight in the division. Who does he face now? All the legitimate contenders in the cruiserweight division, they're either going to be lining up for the IBF belt that Jai he was stripped of, or they're going to be lining up for Michelanian or the winner of Zerto and Benavides. They're not going to be lining up to fight Jai Opetaia for his Zuffa belt. That means nothing. It's got zero appeal, zero credibility. So I don't know where he goes, Drew. I know Mick well. I think a lot of him, but I'm still trying to fathom that you wouldn't get clarification from the IBF and have all this sorted well and truly before you signed with Zuffa and went down this path. I'm still staggered that we've got to the point where there was all this confusion about what might happen if Jai fought for the Zuffa belt. It's got me buggered, mate. The first question I would have asked if I was Mick Francis when I sat down about the whole Zuffa thing, when they came and approached me, I said, yes, we're keen. However, firstly, what's your intentions? And if Dana White said, well, no, we're happy for Jai to fight for all the belts and unify, okay, that's the first tick. I've gotten your sort of outlook on what's going to happen. Now I need to go and talk to the IBF. And go to the IBF and say, now, Mr. IBF, this is what we're thinking of doing. We're thinking about going to Zuffa. What are the implications if we go to Zuffa? And if the IBF said, well, if it's a trophy belt, no problems. If it's put up as a legitimate world title fight, as per these clauses in the Constitution or whatever it is, then you might be open to being stripped, just so you know. And if Mick Francis and Jai said, okay, yeah, it's worth the risk, we're gonna go for it, and then this happened, okay, whether you wear it. But it's all this, what about me sort of scenario. And yeah, I think enough of Mick to hope that he would have asked the question, but it's still, we haven't had clarification about it. So I don't know. But no matter what the circumstances are, Jai Opetaia is now the former two-time IBF cruiserweight champion and no prospects of getting another shot at a legitimate world title. So it's to talk about blowing up in your face. Geez. All right, Tony, Chisora versus Wilder is on next week, and it's a pay-per-view. I think I'll sit on the couch with my granddaughter and watch Miss Rachel instead. Yeah, I definitely won't be getting it, mate. And even when you go on DAZN, it keeps bringing up, do you want to buy it? No, I don't want to buy it. Just no. I can't believe it's a pay-per-view, fair income. Dan, who do you think can beat Fondora at 154? No, he's lost one fight, but I really don't see him losing to any of the current 154s. Look, I'm not going to say that, Dan. He's definitely beatable. He's going to be bloody hard to beat. But, I mean, you look at the guys who've got in the division. There's some bloody great fighters in that division, or very, very good fighters at 154. Someone is capable. There's probably a few guys. I mean, Ortiz and Boots and Murtazali, I think definitely are capable of beating Fondora. Will they or not? That's another question. Charlo is capable of beating him. Even maybe, I don't think Josh Kelly is, but, you know what I mean? There's probably 5 or 6 guys in the division that you could say would be a chance against Fondora. Whether or not they would get the job done is another thing. But I don't think Fondora is unbeatable at 154 at all. No, I think he's beatable. But can any of them sort of hit the right note and get it done is another question. But definitely not unbeatable, no. Richard, Jai made his money but lost his IBF belt. Well, yeah, it's a good call. Did he make his money? I don't think we even know what he got paid, do we? Obviously would have been more than he was able to get through being sort of promoted in-house by Tasman. But we haven't really heard about what the terms were, have we? I know Conor Benn got his 15 million. What did Jai get? Does anyone know? Put it in the chat there. I don't know. It's all here, so I'm assuming it would have been good money to make him go to Zuffa, but maybe it was just opportunity. Maybe it wasn't just money. Maybe, I'm assuming it was good money considering that Conor Benn got 15 million, but it could have just been, hey, this is an organisation that's going to get behind you and push you, well, towards undisputed. Well, that didn't pan out, did it? But I'm assuming he got well paid for it anyway, but I don't think we still know what his contracts were or what his contract sort of signing was. But anyway, Ryan, our Blues went well on the weekend. Don't even bring up footy, Ryan. Fair dinkum. I've still got a headache, mate, after yesterday. But you know what? It went exactly the way I thought it would, mate. At halftime, when it got, I know we're getting a little bit off here, off track. We were 44 points to 1. And at halftime, when it was about 6 goals or something, the difference. No, sorry, at quarter time when it was about 6-7 goals, the difference, and we only kicked 1 goal apiece in the second term. I think it was, or was it 1 goal? I think it was 1 goal each. Thought we're going to stop here, and here it comes. And the Melbourne Avalanche started, Ryan, and the Blues. As soon as they started to get a few goals, I said to the people that were in the bar when I was working there, they're going to run over the top of Carlton, and never in doubt, mate. Never in doubt. The biggest bunch of P-hearts I've ever seen wear that jumper, mate. So anyway. All right, Jason. Paul Nassari's neutral corner promotions card was brilliant. Oh, there you go. I didn't see that, James. Jason. Yeah, I didn't see it, mate. So, no, and Paul is a very, very good promoter, mate. We need guys like him out there. So I have no doubt that it would have been. Naz, is PBC's endgame Charlo Spence? That would be a huge money fight, belt or no belt. I don't think they fight if there's no belt, Naz, but I think it will be. I think the WBC will sanction it. Richard, Daniel Gill is criminally underrated. I completely forgot that he also won gold at the Commonwealth Games. Certainly did, Richard. He was a very, very good fighter, Daniel Gill, and you're right. He is very underrated as well. Thanks, Richard. Thanks for the kind words there, mate. Big J, AFL question, who had the better career, Dustin Martin or Gary Ablett Jr.? Your thoughts? Dustin Martin for me, Big J. Richard thinks Gary Jr., but it's a close one. Yep. I know Gaz has got the Brownlow medals, Richard, but I just go by the 3 Norm Smith medals, mate. Pretty hard to beat. Ali, has the Ben fight been officially cancelled? If so, any reason giving? I don't know anything about that, Ali. Also, do you think Tyson Fury can get back to the top? Or does he only have 2 fights left, including AJ? Well, the last bit there, I would say he's only got 2, maybe 3 fights left, Ali. I think he's after the biggest fights, and then he's out. And I don't know anything about the Conor Benn fight being cancelled, mate. That's news to me. Ado, a few, including yourself, have mentioned Huni is a solid opponent choice for Itauma. No thanks. Please spare him the brutal knockout. Yeah, good call, Ado. Good call. I just think, I wasn't saying he should fight him next. I was probably more about, is there any fighters out there that could maybe match up to Itauma in any way? And I went for Huni because he's fast with his feet and his hands. He's got good movement, good kid at punches, good work rate. That's why I thought he'd be a good matchup. Now, I didn't say he'd beat him, but I just think he'd be a good matchup and probably better than a lot of these other guys would be. So, but the big asterisk, of course, is what happens when he gets nailed, and hence your point there. Big J, always wanted to ask you, what do you think is more prestigious in boxing, an Olympic gold medal or a world title? For me, mate, I would still say Olympic gold medal, just because world titles, there's 4 or 5, about to be 6 of them out there. That's all. I think still Olympic gold medal. There's only one of them, and it's the best versus the best. Well, it's a different sport they remember as well. But if you had asked me, did I want an Olympic gold medal or a world title? Very, very tough call, Big J. But I think I would have taken the Olympic gold medal. Tubbs Tyler, how are you, Tubbs? Do you know much about Max Reeves' opponent, Francis Opetaia, and how do you think Max will go? I have no idea about him, Tubbs. Never seen him fight as far as I know. Sorry, mate. Richard, Honey will be a highlight reel at the moment. What's that? Honey will be a highlight reel at the moment. I rate him. Itauma is elite, but down the track we can talk. Yeah, good call there, Richard. Harry says Fondora gets better with every fight. He does, Harry. And as we said before, mate, I think he's learned a lot from that first Tim fight. I think he also learned a lot from the Mendoza fight as well. But I think he's really realised that his advantages are so much in his favour that now he's like, well, geez, why was I worrying about what was going on before? I can just sort of stand there and overpower these small little guys. So let's hope he doesn't get too brave and start trading a little bit more, because that could be the next step, because that's what he used to do when he was in all these wars. But now he's combining his power with his advantages, and mate, he's going to be tough to beat. There's Carlo Capote. How are you, Carlo? No one talking about Kelly, another belt holder. Yeah, we sort of have there, Carlo, but I think, look, he's capable. I just don't see him beating any of the other belt holders, mate, if I'm being honest, or some of the major contenders. Andy, Virgil should be chasing his Mando shot to actually try and win his first official title, but seems more interested in maximum dollar fights, each to their own. Yeah, we sort of forget about that, don't we, Andy? He's never actually fought for a world title. He's got the WBC interim title, but hasn't fought for a proper world title yet. So, yeah, I think he's got a few options now. I mean, who is it? So Boots is fighting Zayos for 2 belts. So at least that's a really good thing for especially someone like Virgil Ortiz, because the fight's still out there. That's a fight that both guys still want. So if Boots Ennis gets 2 belts, all of a sudden that fight has a hell of a lot more relevance and a lot more appeal, having 2 belts on the line. That's why I said I think maybe Virgil should go for a Josh Kelly, try and get the IBF belt. That's if Fondora is going to fight Charlo. Perfect fight for Virgil would be Josh Kelly. So all of a sudden, if Ortiz fights Ennis at the end of the year, we could have 3 belts out of the 4 up for grabs, and then the winner fights Fondora next year, which would be massive. Ed, I think Wardley versus Itauma is going to be a dang good fight. Depends on the fight makers. Yeah, that would be a ripper, but I don't think it happens, mate, unless they're really forced to. Andy, Itauma talented, but we haven't seen him take a good shot yet. I will say this, though. I've noticed Itauma hooks are always targeted behind the head and ear. That's a good observation there, mate. And once equilibrium off, KO follows. Good call. Claire, you seem very high on Itauma, but has he really proven any more or less that Terramona, considering their respective level of opposition? I think, yeah, I get what you're saying there, Claire. And I've said I am high on Itauma, don't get me wrong, but I have said that he still needs to be tested in a lot of ways. But what I see so far, I think is unbelievable. Terramona, on the other hand, though, Claire, literally hasn't fought anyone with a pulse yet. So I think they're vastly different. I think Itauma hasn't been great opposition, but it's been okay opposition that sort of suits him at the particular stage he's at. It's just been, I suppose, a tick to him that he's been able to get the job done so easily. Terramona, on the other hand, hasn't fought anybody remotely able to even be competitive or hold their hands up. So there is a little bit of difference there. But, yeah, no, the jury's still out on both, I bet. But I think Terramona, as I said, hasn't fought anybody. At least Itauma's been in there with some guys who have had experience and been around the traps a little bit. He's just made it look easy, where Terramona just hasn't had that opportunity yet. Carlo Huni younger, technical, and really should be in the mix. Perfect fight against Itauma. Wardley super lucky twice. Blessed for now. Yeah, good call. Still no answer to the question of Itauma's chin. Yeah, good call there, Hearns. Yeah, the test will come eventually. He's a heavyweight. The test will come. And it's a good call. Claire says, I understand styles make fights, but for me, Tim pushed Fondora harder than Keith and made for a more exciting fight, even the second fight. Yeah, I'm with you there, Claire. At least Tim tried to win the fight. I mean, the first fight he was so brave, wasn't he? And lost a split decision there. Let's not forget that he lost a split decision with what happened. The second fight, obviously Fondora had improved a lot and Tim really battled in that one, but at least he tried to win the fight. Keith didn't even try, in my opinion anyway. And he says that uppercut by Itauma on Franklin was definitely a great addition to his highlight reel. Yeah, I think we're going to see that replayed a lot there, Andy. Oh, there you go, Batman. You're at the fight. Great atmosphere. Yeah, that would have been awesome, Batman. I would love to get to the fights over there, mate. I hope you had a great time. Yeah, 154 stacked with talent. Certainly is there, mate. And he says, best fight at 154 is last two standing for Undisputed. I always prefer unifications on road to Undisputed. Well, my perfect plan is what I said there, Andy, is with Fondora fighting Charlo, Zayos fighting Ennis, Ortiz maybe fighting Kelly, and then Ennis fighting Ortiz. Fondora can fight, I don't know, I suppose if just say Spence beats Tim, or he fights Spence next, and then all the winners fight each other. What a fight that would be. Andy, Wardley versus Itauma would be lit, but appears Wardley hoping to fight Usyk if he beats Triple D. Yeah, Dubois. We'll see. Yeah, no, I think, well, yeah, it comes down to Wardley's fighting Usyk, 100%, mate. He doesn't want to fight Itauma unless he absolutely has to, so Wardley would make more sense. Glenn, how are you there, mate? See Josh Kelly being the guy to worry Fondora. Well, there you go. He's probably the last guy I would have picked, but anyway, his speed and athleticism around the ring, avoiding Fondora early and making him tired, chasing and then later rounds outscoring him, I don't know. I'm just not sure he's got any power or anything, Glenn. I think you need a little bit of pep in your punches to be able to get Fondora's attention. If he's just going to keep pushing Josh Kelly back the whole way, I don't think he's going to be too worried about what's coming back at him. I just think he walks Kelly down and dominates him, if I'm being honest. Something's up with YouTube. Sure, there's more people. Yeah, it says 4 people are watching, Tony. There's a shitload of comments, but 4 people watching, so I don't know. Don't know, mate. I don't know what's going on there. There's powerful. Yeah, well, there's it says there's 3 people watching, but I'm nowhere near the end of the comments yet, mate, so I don't know what's going on there. Jason, view count is climbing. Home and away must have been good tonight. Yeah. Don't know what's going on there, Jason. I have no idea. Normally it says, hang on, we're up to 5. But normally there's 60 or 70 people, so I don't know, mate. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Oh, what's we got there? It's refreshing the intro. Don't know. Mr. Gentleman says, Tim never really has it made yet. Fondora and Buckram were kings who Tim lost against. Harrison was a nothing. Just felt he hasn't proved street cred against middle tier. No, I'm with you there, Mr. Gentleman, which is why I think they're after the Spence fight. Someone didn't like the count. Just gave me a thumbs down. Hope you sleep well tonight, mate. Hope you feel better about yourself. You've given me a dislike. Well done. You are the man. Or woman. Ed, off to work. 3:41 in the AM. Get to bed there, mate. Thanks very much for your comments there, mate. I really appreciate it. Thanks very much, Ed. Yep. I try and be unbiased as much as I can, mate, although I have been accused of being a little biased sometimes. But anyway, Jason, I was having a bug too. I can't see most of the questions on screen. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, Jason. Don't know what's happening. What's next for Nikita? No idea there, Mr. Gentleman. But announcement is apparently either this week or next, mate, so keep a lookout for that. I've heard that... Who did I hear the other day? Brock Jarvis could be in the mix. I don't know. I can't say. I've heard nothing. Well, I did hear something, just a rumour that it could be Brock Jarvis, but nothing from anyone that would sort of matter. So, yeah, I can't comment there. Kaspar, Huni to Zuffa. Keep a lookout. We'll see. Kaspar, you never know. Yeah, all the comments are mixed up. There's a lot of comments, but again, 9 people watching. Thanks to the 2 people that have given me the dislike. Again, hope you feel really good about yourselves. Hang on, we're down to one. Thank you, mate, whoever that was. Hang on, we're up to 13 people watching. Anyway, we'll keep moving. I can see the comments there, Tony. Don't worry, mate. There's Tommy. Thanks for watching, Tommy. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, J-Beebs, but as I said, mate, it says there's 4 people watching, but I'm nowhere near the end of the comments section there, so there's obviously a lot of yous out there. We'll see. Thanks, Ed. Oh, good one. Batman, Bowachock versus Murtazolev, still a banger. Yeah, it would be, mate. It would be massive. It would be huge. Ed, I'm guilty of judging Fondora being too tall. Oh, well, he's a lanky, skilled fighter. I hope he gives us a good showing. His tape measures are unbelievable for 54. They certainly are, Ed. And not his fault that he's 6'6" with an inch. Is it like a 10-inch reach advantage on his opponents? Yeah, not his fault. He just takes advantage of the advantage that he has got. How would 154-pound look now? If Charlo didn't have that hand injury and fought and beat Tim, he may well have fought Fondora as well by now. Probably beat him too. Yeah, some unbelievable fights out there, Claire. And you got to wonder if Charlo didn't go up to 168 and fight Canelo, what would have happened in the meantime? He would have fought obviously Tim. I think he would have beaten Tim if I'm being honest, Claire. But then where would Fondora fall in the scheme of things? Maybe it would have been Charlo fighting Fondora instead of Tim fighting Fondora. Tim, who knows? It could be anywhere, but I mean, we can go on about the what is or not, I suppose. J-Beebs, in order to beat Fondora, you have to be able to get inside, possess an iron chin, and have dynamite in your hands like a Triple G. Nobody beats this version of Seb, in my opinion. Yeah, it's a good call, Beebs. Yeah, I was asked before about how I would go about it. It doesn't mean I'd be able to do it or anyone else to be able to do it, but I'm just sort of looking at what it might take. But you're right. It takes a good chin to a great stamina. You've got to have an unbelievably big tank to go with Fondora because he seems to work at about 50% pace, where his opponent seems to be working at maximum pace all the time. He's just sort of chugging along and just keeps pushing you back and making you work. So, yeah, a massive work rate, massive tank, good power, good chin, and a little bit of maybe being a little bit adventurous as well with how you attack him. So, Anya says, Charlo is still lineal 154 champ, and that carries validity. In my opinion, many value lineal over everything else. If Jamel gets whooped, so be it. To the victor goes the glory every time. Yeah, I'm not so sure with the lineal type of thing, Andy, how long that is sort of in effect. I mean, I think within 3 years, I think you give up the right to be a lineal champion. I don't know. I mean, if you get stripped of the belt or belts and you come back, you know, you're still viewed as lineal. But if you're out of the action for 3 years, do you sort of forfeit your lineal championship? I don't know. It's a mythical type of thing anyway, but I am sort of pretty stoic that I still think he doesn't deserve a shot, but he probably deserves a shot, if that makes sense. Doesn't deserve it on paper, but being that lineal champion you talk about, a former undisputed who never lost his titles in the ring, then maybe he does deserve his shot. But anyway. Yep, Fondora Ortiz, great fight as well, says Batman. Yep, agreed. Richard. Mayweather was first crowing about fighting Tyson, then Pac-Man. Next will be Oscar De La Hoya. Yeah, well, Oscar, he's probably in good enough condition to come back. Who knows? It could be Oscar after Pac-Man in another exhibition, Richard. I think he'd definitely do it. Jared Anderson is now co-promoted by Queensberry. He's fighting in Manchester on the Wardy Dubois card. Yes, that's right. Good call, Batman. Thanks for that. Yep, random. Good to see Connor drill his opponent. Yeah, he did really well, mate. Fondora, Boxing Professor. Fondora beating everyone at 154. Even Boots. There you go. Glenn. Evening all. Moses is the business and Fondora. Admittedly, fighting a faded fighter has turned into a beast. He's a nightmare for anyone. Certainly is, Glenn, that's for sure. Glenn says, was worrying about the PBC talk at the presser, though. I don't think he fights Boots or Ortiz. Yeah, that's boxing, unfortunately, Glenn. Shadow Boxer, who's coming to the Bud Crawford meet-up on Thursday? Yeah, is it Pavilion? Is it the Melbourne Pavilion this Thursday? I think Tszyu was on his way up to pick Bud Crawford up, I think today, it was, and probably bring him back here. So that should be massive. Awesome. Batman, Charlo at 154 stopped multiple guys with one shot. He became a knockout arse when he got to the championship level. Strange, really, but he's much more dangerous for Fondora than Thurman was. Yeah, I will agree with that, Batman. Yep. Charlo would need to sober up first. Good call, Glenn. I like that. Yeah, Glenn, seen yesterday's interview, not right in the head, and I think he was drunk. Yeah, the way he was talking, Glenn, yeah, I got a feeling he was definitely inebriated in some way, mate. Yeah, Tubbs, I don't know what's going on, mate. Judging by the amount of comments, this is probably the most comments we've had in a long time. It says there's only, well, we're up to 11, hang on, back to 9. Who knows, mate? Whatever, we'll soldier on. There's obviously a lot more than that watching, but it is what it is. Shadowboxer, what happened to the Super Series? Need to bring those back. Help make Itauma and Usyk boxing household names. Yeah, I think this has been too much innovation since those days, Shadowboxer. I think now the Riyadh season's come in and now Zuffa and everyone sort of stepped it up a little bit. Yeah, I just don't think it's sort of high on the agenda anymore. Wish we got the Bud Charlo fight. Yeah, geez, that would have been great. Bud pointing at Charlo while grabbing his crotch, yelling, "You're next," while Spence climbed to his feet was badass. It was too. Claire, as soon as I saw Tim drop an Instagram post featuring Cooper, I immediately thought that it was a sign that Michael Itauma was going to sign him up. Is that right? I didn't know that, Claire. Good on him. Yeah, that's awesome that Tim did that. I didn't see it. But I can tell you that, no, Mike is not going to be managing Cooper. I'd love it if he did, but not the case. When is the Wilder Shazora fight? Says Adam, is it this weekend? I think it is. I think, are we almost, geez, I'm just going to go to the end here and see what we've got here. Got a couple more to get through. All right, Tubbs, can't find my question. Yeah, I got that one about Max Reeves' opponent, Francis. Yeah, apologies about this, guys. I don't know what's happened with all the questions tonight. I think I've got them all at the end, but I don't know what's happened, so I apologise for that. All right, Big J. Charlie Z got the shit kicked out of him by Wilder over a decade ago. It's on YouTube. Also, I did see that. Floyd Sr. also gave him a touch-up at like 61 years of age. Didn't he sucker punch Floyd Sr. as well, Big J? And then he got jumped by all the Mayweather crew. Jeez. I think does he still say he's like undefeated or something? I think does he realise he's a meme and a joke, or is he actually serious? I've always wondered that. Batman, Tim was snapping Fondora's head back at will in that first fight. I stand by Tim was en route to stopping him in 7 rounds. Crazy what can happen and how mindset and confidence is so key in boxing. Yeah, well, geez, talk about fate, Batman. It was a golden opportunity for Tim, but fate stepped in with the cut, and we'll never know what might have happened. Good call here, Joe. I think punching Fondora's arms and body and need good footwork to get in and out. I like it, yep. Hit the arms and the shoulders and the hips and whatever you need to do to slow him down. Not a bad call, Joe. You got to get in there and get dirty. Tim believed he was a machine at that point. Before the cut, he was giving Fondora a beating. Granted, it wasn't long. It's only 2 rounds, but I'm with you there, though, mate. Nobody is unbeatable. What do we got here? Just a couple there left. Jason, I've seen an old interview with Jai. Belts don't pay the bills. I don't think he's too concerned. It'd suck not to be called out for the big fights, but as long as there's food on this table, he'll keep punching. Yeah, look, end of the day, I know he wants that undisputed, but I mean, if he's getting paid 5 or 10 times more than he was before, well, I'm sure it'll be a nice little consolation for him anyway. All right, well, I think we're going to call it a day on that one. What have we got here? So Andy says, hang on, let's go with Frito. Fury was out of the ring for 3 years, but still kept his lineal status when he came back. Okay, all right, there you go. I'll stand down on that one and accept that there, Frito. Andy, how about Fondora's torn bicep? Didn't look affected at all, though, like Oscar Duarte. I didn't know about the torn bicep there, mate. I didn't watch Fondora's interview after the fight, so. And last one here, Jay Beebs. Did you catch Roy Jones's cornerman speech this weekend? Worth a watch. It was a modern-day Teddy Atlas fireman speech. No, I didn't, mate. But I will check it out. All right, guys, that's going to do it for tonight. Really hope you enjoyed it. Again, apologies for what's happening with YouTube tonight. Not that it's really a big thing as far as the watches go, but something obviously is amiss there because there was a hell of a lot of comments or questions, but only looked like we had sort of 5 to 10 people watching all night, but judging by the questions we had there or comments, there was a hell of a lot more than that. So either way, thank you to everyone that joined in. Don't forget to check out Walking Boxing every morning. It's usually up by sort of about 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock. So I appreciate everyone tuning in, listening on Spotify after the fact. Have a great week, and we'll catch you next week on Talking Boxing, where I'm sure we'll be talking all about the Tim Tszyu fight this weekend. So guys, have a great week, and we'll catch you then.